In the summer of 1936, railway workers digging near the village of Kujut Rabu, just outside Baghdad, struck something buried in the dry earth. It was a small clay jar, no taller than a coffee mug, sealed with asphalt and half forgotten by time. It looked like nothing special. But when an Austrian archaeologist named Wilhelm König examined it, he suggested something that would haunt historians for decades. This ordinary pot, he claimed, might be a 2,000-year-old battery. To understand why that idea is so unsettling, you have to picture what was inside. Within the clay jar sat a cylinder of rolled copper sheet, and suspended inside that cylinder was a single iron rod. The copper was capped at the bottom and sealed with asphalt at the top, holding the iron in place so it never touched the surrounding metal. It was a deliberate arrangement, carefully built. And to modern eyes, it looked strikingly like the components of a simple electric cell. König was working at the National Museum of Iraq when he came across the object. In 1938 he published his theory, proposing that if the jar were filled with an acidic liquid, like vinegar or wine, it could generate a small electric current between the copper and the iron. He dated the artifact to the Parthian era, roughly 250 BC to 224 AD, an age long before anyone was supposed to understand electricity. If he was right, someone had invented the battery nearly 2,000 years early. The claim sounds outlandish, but the science behind it is sound. Place two different metals in an acidic solution and you create the basic conditions for a galvanic cell. It is exactly how the first modern batteries worked when Alessandro Volta built his famous pile in 1800. Tests on replicas of the Baghdad jar have confirmed it. Filled with grape juice or vinegar, the reconstruction produced between half a volt and around 2 volts of electricity. Faint, but real. So the question was never whether the jar could produce a current. The question was whether anyone actually used it that way. And here the mystery deepens, because if ancient people were generating electricity, they left almost no trace of why. There are no wires, no records, no drawings of glowing lamps or humming machines. Just a handful of jars, sitting silently in the ground, offering a tantalizing hint of knowledge that seems to have vanished as quietly as it appeared. One popular theory is electroplating. The idea is that the ancient craftsmen used these cells to coat objects in a thin layer of gold or silver, using electricity to bond precious metal onto cheaper base metal. Some point to finely plated artifacts from the region as possible evidence. If true, it would mean Parthian jewelers guarded a technological secret so advanced it would not be rediscovered in Europe for well over 1,000 years. Others suggested something stranger. A few researchers wondered whether the jars powered dim lights inside temples, creating an illusion of divine energy for worshippers. Some even linked them to healing, imagining priests using mild electric shocks as a form of ancient medicine, a practice not entirely unknown in the classical world. These theories are thrilling, but they share a fatal weakness. There is no direct evidence any of them ever happened. That absence of evidence is exactly why skeptics push back hard. Many archaeologists argue the Baghdad jars were never batteries at all. Similar vessels have been found across the region, and they closely resemble storage containers used to protect sacred scrolls. The copper cylinder would have held a rolled papyrus or parchment, and over centuries the organic material simply decayed away, leaving only the metal and the mineral residue behind. By this reading, the mystery is a modern invention, not an ancient one. The dating adds another twist. The style of the jars actually points more toward the Sasanian period, which followed the Parthians, and the way they were sealed matches known methods for storing documents, not liquids. There is also the problem of the asphalt seal itself. A tight, permanent seal makes little sense for a battery, which would need to be opened and refilled, but perfect sense for protecting a scroll meant to last for generations. And yet the battery theory refuses to die, partly because we cannot examine the original artifacts anymore. During the chaos and looting that followed the invasion of Iraq in 2003, the National Museum of Baghdad was ransacked. Thousands of items disappeared. The Baghdad battery, one of the most debated objects in the entire collection, is now believed to be lost, its whereabouts unknown, perhaps gone forever. So we are left arguing over photographs, replicas, and decades-old notes. We can prove the object could make electricity. We cannot prove anyone intended it to. We have a design that seems too specific to be an accident, and an explanation that seems too ordinary to satisfy. Both sides can point to real evidence, and neither can deliver the final, undeniable proof that would end the debate for good. Perhaps the truth is quietly unremarkable, a container for a scroll that time turned into a legend. Or perhaps a forgotten craftsman really did stumble onto a spark of electricity 2,000 years too soon, only for the knowledge to slip away with him. Until the missing jars resurface, or new ones are found untouched in the ground, the Baghdad battery remains suspended between science and speculation, a small clay pot still asking a very large question.